Cho Files number 003. Name, the rake. Class, keetter. Origin, unknown. Other, nothing. During the summer of 2003, events in the northeastern United States involving around a strange, human-like creature sparked brief local media interest before an apparent blackout was enacted. Little or no information was left intact as most online and written accounts of the creature was mysteriously destroyed. Primary focus in Royal New York, once found in Idaho. Self-proclaimed witnesses told their stories of the creature with unknown origin. Emotions ranged from extremely traumatic levels of fright and discomfort to almost like a childlike sensefulness of playfulness and curiosity. While their published versions are no longer on record, the memories remain powerful. Several involved parties began looking for answers that year. In early 2006, collaboration had accumulated nearly 24 documents dating between 12th century and present day, spanning 4 continents. In almost all cases, the stories were identical. I've been in contact with one of the members of this group, and I was able to get a couple excerpts from their upcoming book, A Suicide Note, 1964. As I prepare to take my life, I feel it's necessary to assuage any pain or guilt I have endured through this process. It is no other fault from him, for once I awoke and felt his presence, and once again I awoke and saw his form, and then once again I awoke and heard his voice, and looked into his eyes. I cannot sleep without fear of what I might next to awake. Goodbye. Found in the same wooden box are 2 empty envelopes addressed to William and Rose, and 1 loose personal letter. Dearest Lenny, I have prayed for you. He spoke your name. A journal entry, translated from Spanish. I have experienced the greatest terror. I have experienced the greatest terror. I have experienced the greatest terror. I see his eyes when I close mine. They are hollow, black. They saw me and pierced me. His wet hand. I will not sleep. His voice, unintelligible text. A miner's log, 1691. He came to me, and from the foot of my bed, I felt a sensation. He took everything. We must return to England, and we shall not return here again at the request of the rake. From a witness, 2006. 3 years ago, I had just returned from a trip from Niagara Falls with my family for the 4th of July. We were all exhausted from a long day of driving, so my husband and I put the kids right to bed and called it a night. At about 4 a.m., I woke up thinking my husband had gotten out of the bedroom to use the restroom, or gotten out of bed to use the restroom, so I used the moment to steal back the sheets, only to wake him in the process. I apologized and told him I thought he had gotten out of bed. He turned to face me and gasped, pulled his feet up in the end of the bed so quickly his knee almost knocked me out of bed. He then grabbed me and said nothing. After adjusting to the darkness for half a second, I was able to see what caused the strange reaction. At the foot of the bed, sitting facing away from us, was what appeared to be a naked man or large hairless dog of some sort. Its body position was disturbing and unnatural, as if it got hit by a car or something. And I wasn't instantly frightened, but more concerned as to its condition. At this point, I was somewhat under the assumption that we were supposed to help him. My husband was peering over my shoulder and knee, tucked into the fetal position, occasionally glancing at me before returning to the creature. In a flurry of motion, the creature scrambled to the side of the bed and quickly crawled in a flailing sort of motion right along the bed until it was less than a foot from my husband's face. The creature was completely silent for about 30 seconds, or probably 5. It just seemed like a while. Just looking at my husband, the creature then placed its hand on his knee and ran into the hallway leading to the kids' room. I screamed and ran for the light switch, planning to stop him before he hurt my child. When I got to the hallway, the light from the bedroom was enough to see it crouching hunched over about 20 feet away. He turned around and looked directly at me, covered in blood. I flipped the switch on the wall, and I saw my daughter Clara. The creature ran down the stairs while my husband rushed to help my daughter. She was very badly injured and spoke once more in her short life. She said, "He is the rake." My husband drove his car into a lake that night while rushing our daughter to the hospital. They did not survive. Being a small town, news got around quickly. The police were helpful at first, but in the local newspaper took a lot of interest. However, the news story was never published, and the local television news never followed up either. For several months, my son Justin and I stayed in a hotel near my parents' house. After we decided to return home, I began looking for answers myself. I eventually located a man in the next town over, and he had a very similar story to mine. We got in contact and began talking about our experiences. He knew of two other people in New York that have seen the same creature that we now refer to as the rake. It took the four of us about 2 solid years of hunting on the internet and writing letters to come up with a small collection of what we believe to be accounts of the rake. None of them gave any detail, history, or follow-up. One journal entry involving the creature in its first 3 pages never mentioned it again. A ship's log explaining nothing of the encounter except for that they were told to leave by the rake. That was the last entry in the log. There were, however, many instances where the creature's visits were in a series of visits for the same person. Multiple people mentioned being spoken to, my daughter included. This led us to wonder if the rake had visited any of us in the last encounter. I set up a digital recorder at the end of my bed. One day of the 3rd week, I thought I heard something different. What I found was a shrill voice. It was the rake. I can't even listen to it enough to begin to transcribe it. I haven't let anyone listen to it yet. All I know is that I've heard it before, and now I believe it spoke when I was sitting at the end of the bed. I don't remember hearing anything. The thoughts that must have gone through my daughter's head make me very upset. I've never seen the rake since he ruined my life, but I know that he has been in my room while I slept. I know and fear one night I'll wake to see him staring at me. So that was the rake. One of the really good ones I like. Sorry if I read that so fast. I thought I was going to run out of time. Yeah.